My name is Doug Rosner. I'm the Associate Professor of Percussion, Associate Director of Bands here at Auburn University. I'm starting my 7th year as the percussion professor here. One of the big aspects of my job here is to be the director of the Drumline of the Marching Band. And that is something that is just, it's kind of a passion of mine. I've done it for a number of years, the marching activity. And so it's a really great performing ensemble, pretty high profile here on campus. The Drumline has 43 members in it that we can take every year. We typically get 70 to 80 people auditioning for that group, so we have to narrow it down to that number. It's a great group. They work very hard, and they're very proud of what they're able to accomplish. The bonus of being in the Drumline here is definitely that we do have a good football program, and we definitely have a lot of exciting, fun times on Saturdays. Being in the marching band, being in the Drumline at Auburn, and a lot of fine programs around the state and around the Southeast, it's definitely an experience that is kind of all-encompassing. You get to do the drumming thing, which we love to do, but the game day atmosphere, and especially in the Southeast, is just unbelievable. The pregame atmosphere is really important to us because it really sets the stage for the very beginning of the football game. And it's very important to the crowd too, because typically when we get to the stadium, everybody's very, very excited for the game to start.
Our pregame show, we have kind of built a good reputation for having a really high energy, spirited pregame show. We were very fortunate to have a student here that did a lot of video editing, and we were one of the first bands in the country to do a big video intro for our band, much like the sports teams do.
It's a really great pregame atmosphere we have. We have it timed down to the seconds so that when we get done forming the pregame tunnel, the pump-up video for the team starts that very second. And there's no lull in time, so this energy just kind of permeates and keeps continuing all the way to the kickoff. And it's really helped us a lot of times be pumped up and ready for the game to start, and the team comes out really energized, and we're all kind of hoping for the same result, and so it's a really electric, wonderful pregame.
National favorite, Glory to the Lord.
It is definitely a very different kind of drumming and kind of playing that we do, and experience really to play that kind of pregame music. It's very different from a drum corps. It is different from high school. Basically, what we're trying to do is drum things as well as we can, but to make the music sound as exciting as we possibly can. So the idea is that we don't necessarily have to play the hardest things that we can think of, but the idea is the drum lines producing the kind of energy that we need for the crowd to get really excited. It is definitely one of those things where the new students here, the first year drumline members come running out of the tunnel, and you can tell them all day, but they do not know what's about to hit them until they really go out there for the first time and they just hear all that, and it's just such an amazing experience for them. So it's unique, and it's not necessarily always the hardest drumming in the book, but it's a very important part of what they do, and I can tell you, even though it's not the hardest drumming, a lot of the guys in the drumline love to do that, just because of the kind of energy that it creates.
And now, here's your 2011 Auburn University Marching Band.
In terms of our halftime performance, I think we've got a reputation for a pretty big sound. Obviously, we have a lot of members with 380, a lot of brass and percussion that can produce a pretty big sound. We typically do a lot of theme-oriented shows, but they're varied. I mean, we do everything from orchestral music, movie music, to rock and jazz and pop, and we're always trying to cater to a different part of our audience. We have 87,000 people watching the band. They all have different musical tastes, and one week we may really try to cater towards our student section and do something that's a little more cutting edge, and then another week we might look at an older population of the audience and try to look back to the 30s or 40s or the 60s or whatever we're doing, so that if one week you're not really wild about the selections for the show, you got something new coming the next week that's completely different.
The nice thing about the drumline here at Auburn, I think, is that they really take seriously what they do. So we know that there's some things that we're just going to be doing differently than a drum corps. We can't rehearse as much per day. Some of the parts that we play can't be quite as involved or perfected quite as much because we don't have that kind of rehearsal time. But at the same time, they're very, very hard workers, and they really want to be sure that they do everything that they do well. So regardless of if it's a difficult show for them to play or if it's an easy part that they have to play in the stands, they don't really differentiate between the two. They try to play the best they can, typically, no matter what the music requires them to do. And so it's a great ensemble for them to be a part of, because they really feel like that they are putting in a lot of effort and working hard and being great at something. Some universities, drumlines, I'm sure in some cases it can be as much of a social activity as much as a drumming activity. But I really feel like here the students aren't really looking for a football ticket, or they're not looking for just some friends to hang out with. But they want those things, and we want that for them as well. But at the same time, they're really kind of focused on being great at drumming and having a great experience from a playing standpoint. And that's one of the things that makes it fun for me, is I don't really have to find that motivation for them to try to play well, because they really want to do that regardless of how easy or difficult the parts are. And so we're able to play at the highest level we can and be the best drumline we can possibly be on their own account without having to have any kind of exterior motivation. So it's pretty good.
really have four major goals and objectives that we're trying to achieve every year, and one of them is we're trying to perform at the highest level we can with the resources that we have. Our second big objective is we're really trying to make our stadium and really any stadium where we're a part of the event to be an advantage for our football team through our spirit performance, things that we do in the stands, marching to the stadium, marching around the field, our pregame show, making it a really enjoyable experience and memorable experience for our fans. The third thing we're trying to do is be really great ambassadors for our university. So that means not just on the field or in the stands, but on buses, in hotels, in restaurants. We want our students to be the quintessential model Auburn men and women, so that character and citizenship are a really important part of what we do. And our fourth big goal is that our students have a great experience doing this, and that we give them some life skills that they can take into their profession, whatever that may be.
I think across campus people understand what kind of work that the band puts in, and also what kind of service the band provides. So having to be a part of that and being able to be a part of that is really a unique experience for the students, but it really makes them feel like they're connected to the university, they're connected to what the football team is trying to do, and it gives them, I think, a sense of importance that is a great thing for those students to have. Yeah, in a typical year, we start by doing an audition camp in the beginning of June. And so basically, it'll be an open call. Anyone that wants to come and audition for a spot can do that. People ask me all the time, how many spots are open in the Drumline? And every time they ask me that question, I tell them every single spot is open every single year. And we have had the situation happen where a student will come in as a new first-year rookie, never marched before, and beat a vet for a spot. And the vet had the choice of either march in a different section or take a year off. That has happened. And but it doesn't happen often because the vets know it's coming. So they come in August in that first rehearsal pretty much ready to go, and the new guys come chomping at the bit ready to go. And so when we make that final decision, everybody's really excited and on the same page for that first kind of week of rehearsal, and that puts us in a really great place. And it also gives everybody an equal chance, which I think is fair. So there are 13 people in the percussion studio that are either pursuing a major or a minor. Those 12 or 13 people make up maybe about a quarter of the Drumline's membership. We have 42 people, and so about 10 or so, 11 of them are actively in the Drumline right now. The rest of the Drumline's made up from majors, pretty much from across campus, a wide variety. The majority of, or the biggest representation of a major, I should say, in the marching band at large is engineering. So chemical engineers, electrical engineers, polyfiber engineers, all sorts of different engineers. It's a pretty wide gamut, and if you come to Auburn, you don't need to be a music major to be in the Drumline. A lot of the people that come to audition for the Drumline, they don't necessarily want to be a music major or even a minor for that matter, but they want to keep playing their instrument because they love it and they've spent so much time at it in high school. And we try to encourage that as much as possible, and not just the marching band, the concert bands too. So we try to give everybody here an opportunity to play, and that regardless of major.
When I first came to Auburn University, I was pretty shocked because of how great the marching band program was. Being an outsider, I thought it had a bigger school of music. I thought it was a school of music. It's a department of music. So after going to LSU and then going to Arizona State, got my master's at LSU and Arizona State for my doctorate, coming to Auburn University, I saw the band in the SEC when I was at LSU, but I had no idea what it was like behind the scenes. I think that's the biggest thing that is really amazing about what Auburn University does. A lot of college programs and in the marching band you find out they rise and fall by how good the football team is doing. At Auburn, no matter, lately where our football team has actually been doing pretty well, but it's amazing. The one thing that stays consistent through the years is what the band program has done and the quality of the marching band for the resources we have to work with. I know, like me, I went to a very small school in Pennsylvania, and I could have gone to an Auburn, I believe, because it has a small music department, and I can get one-on-one attention. But on the flip side, when you get in a marching band of 380 people, and you get to experience the big-time college football scene and what a band does for that college, and how all the fans are really in behind the band, and that enthusiasm that the band is really creating on game day is very exciting. But what they learn in a small music department is you get one-on-one attention. It's good for the music theory, the music history courses, their applied lessons, and you get to keep closer tabs on them, and they have the best of both worlds. So sometimes they leave here and they go into a class, a lab with 250 students, and they're blown away for an academic course. But when they come back here for theory or history, they've got 20 people and that's it. Or maybe a conducting class of 8 people, and you get one-on-one attention instead of a conducting class of 30 or 40 and you're throwing 4 or 5 people up to conduct at the same time. So I think that's the unique part, that what we offer behind the scenes.
One of the great things about Auburn is the fact that it is a pretty decent sized university, 25,000 people, and the marching band is a pretty large visible part of that. 380 is the group there, and the Drumline's a pretty large sized percussion ensemble. But the Department of Music at Auburn is one of the smaller ones actually in the state, and that's actually, I think, an advantage for us because it allows me to spend a lot more personal time with individual students. We don't have students here that come and study with grad students. We don't have even students right now that study with adjunct professors. It's basically anybody who comes here to study percussion studies with me, and typically, I can have the time to pay attention to them enough to not just do well with their lessons, but my door is open. If they have a question that they want to ask me about something they're working on or their homework or whatever it might be, they can knock on my door and I'm going to be there to answer them. And so I feel like I'm a little bit more of a presence in their development as a percussionist, and I really like that environment. That's the kind of the environment that I had when I was doing my undergrad, and it helped me be ready for a bigger program then later on. So I'm hoping I can give these students that same opportunity.